All right, today we're going to tackle a really profound and, let's be honest, a kind of puzzling metaphor from ancient philosophy. But stick with me, because it might just flip how you see everything. We're talking about the vision of reality as this giant, cosmic, upside-down tree. So let's just dive right in with this fascinating, almost paradoxical idea from the Bhagavad Gita. It throws this really wild proposition at us. What if the material world, the one we experience every single day, what if it isn't the real thing at all? What if it's just a temporary reflection of some deeper, more permanent reality? And there it is, our central mystery, a banyan tree, with its roots reaching for the sky and its branches growing down towards the earth. The text says this isn't just some pretty poetry. It's a map of existence itself. So, what on earth could that possibly mean? Okay, so to solve this riddle, the only way to really get our heads around it is to decode it piece by piece. If we can figure out what each part of this cosmic tree represents, we can start to see the whole picture. So let's start exactly where this tree does, right at the very top. Okay, so right off the bat, this flips everything we think we know on its head. We think of roots as being deep in the ground, right? The foundation. But in this model, the ultimate source of all material existence is actually positioned above everything, in the highest spiritual plane. So from that one single origin point, way up top, the branches expand downwards. These branches, well, they're the sprawling diversity of the universe, all the different planetary systems, all the different cosmic environments. And this is where all living beings, including you and me, find ourselves kind of wandering around. And now we get to the leaves. The source says these are the Vedic hymns, rituals and good deeds that are designed to help you improve yourself. But here's the crucial point. While these leaves are beautiful and definitely useful, they can also be a huge distraction. It's so easy to get caught up in the details of the ritual, to get lost in the leaves, that you completely forget to look at the tree itself and understand what it really is. So the big question remains, how can a tree physically have its roots in the sky? It sounds impossible, right? But luckily for us, the source gives us this absolutely brilliant analogy that makes it all just click. And bam, there it is, the answer. The material world we experience isn't the real tree at all. It's just a reflection of a true spiritual world. And just like a tree's reflection in water, our world appears upside down, a temporary, shimmering image of the real thing. Okay, this comparison right here is super important. The spiritual world is the real, eternal object. Our material world is its reflection, temporary, and, as the source calls it, a perverted replica. Now, that word perverted sounds kind of harsh, right? But what it really means here is just inverted or distorted. The reflection has all the variety, all that variegatedness of the original, but it's just not the real thing. It's like looking at a photograph of a person instead of the actual person. This leads to a fantastic question. If a real tree's reflection needs water to even exist, then what's the water holding the reflection of our entire material world in place? Well, the source tells us it's something a lot less tangible, but way more powerful. The answer is desire. That's the water. According to this philosophy, it's our collective and individual desires that hold this whole reflection of reality together. Our very desire to enjoy this material world is what traps us inside of it, making us mistake the shadow for the real substance. And this whole idea of desire, it leads us right to the central problem that this entire metaphor is designed to explain, our entanglement inside this reflected world. Just like any tree, this reflected one also has fruit. And these fruits, they represent the results of our actions, all the goals we're constantly chasing in this life. We see them right here, achieving religious merit, getting that economic success, pursuing pleasure, and even the idea of spiritual liberation, at least when it's sought within this material setup. And this is the trap. The source is crystal clear. For anyone who's attached to chasing these fruits, there's just no end to it. You simply wander from one branch to another. You get one thing, and immediately you want the next. It's a cycle of endless pursuit inside of reflection, with no real escape. So if this whole reflected tree is a trap, how in the world do you get out? Well, the good news is this philosophy doesn't just point out the problem, it also gives us the solution, a clear path to break free. It's basically a three-step process, and it's very logical. First, you have to truly know the tree. You have to study and really understand that what you're in is just a temporary reflection. Second, armed with that knowledge, you have to actively cut your attachment to it, using what the text calls the weapon of detachment. And finally, once you're detached, you can begin to seek the real tree, the original spiritual source that everything comes from. And this brings us right back to where we started. The text suggests that being a knower of the Vedas isn't just about getting caught up in the beautiful leaves of rituals. The true knower is the one who gets the ultimate purpose of all that knowledge, how to cut down this reflected tree of attachment so you can finally get to the real one. And that leaves us with one last, really provocative thought to chew on. If our reality is a reflection held in place by the water of desire, then what desires are shaping your world? What is your water made of?